Motel here from the Toy Talk Guys podcast. Thank you for joining me. I am recording this mid-June of 2025. At this time, we do not have the new Power Rangers Reignition figures in hand here in the States, but I will take a stance, and I'm going to go ahead and say I prefer this line over the Lightning Collection. Allow me to explain. I do not hate the Lightning Collection. It was just something that wasn't really for me. I did not feel that itch to pick up every single figure that was getting released. I'll definitely give some reasoning for that, but maybe I'll just talk about the positives a little bit, what I did like about this line. So if you've listened to the Toy Talk Guys podcast, you know that at some points I've mentioned I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, and mainly what I focus on are the villains. While aesthetically I love the look of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and all the other Ranger teams, I was way more enamored with the villains that were on screen for the show. And my collection tends to reflect that. So one of the accolades I can give this line is it had a great selection of monster figures. I wasn't necessarily in love with how they all looked, but just the fact that they were included. And I'm not really talking about the big bads like your Lord Zeds and Ritas, but the Monster of the Week figures that they had available. That being said, though, Finster was a standout. I think that's probably the best figure, in my opinion, to come out of the Lightning Collection. Not sure another Finster figure will ever come out and pass that. The bar was set high for that one. So love that figure. Very happy to have that in my collection. And I think ultimately it had great potential if the line was healthy. If it was healthy, I think it would have had great trajectory. Like, we got so many villains from MMPR, and I know we got villains from other series as well, but if we had gotten to Monster of the Week figures from, like, Zeo, oh man, that would have been so tight. I love the Monster of the Weeks from Zeo. That's one of my favorite series for monsters. They all look like the mechanical robotic aesthetic of all those monsters. They all they feel like they tie together really well. I love that. They were so cool looking. If we had gotten a couple of those, I'd have been very impressed and happy. Also, to just round out my positive section, I understand a lot of people are not thrilled with how it ended up and how many teams were incomplete, but at the same time, I feel like they completed a whole bunch of teams. There's a lot to like about this line if you were a fan. So hats off Hasbro in those couple of departments, but beyond that, I don't have too many more great things to say about it. With that being said, let's get into the negatives. So first off, I don't know if this is necessarily the most important part of this for everybody, but it was kind of for me, I'd say. These figures were expensive. And I understand, people are kind of used to the price points with their Marvel Legends and those kinds of collectible figures because Power Rangers didn't really have that before with Bandai. Bandai was kind of trying to start to do that, but were they like $20 when they were coming out, the Legacy figures? I can't remember, but these upon initial release were like $20 a figure. Okay, I mean, that's not something that I was really looking to spend on toys. The Action Hero series, when they were coming out, it was like $10 a pop pretty much where I was at. And then sometimes you could get them discounted, and in certain situations I'd wait for that. But these, upon initial release, $20 a figure, it's too expensive. And then on top of that, you had these deluxe figures, which were all the figures that I wanted, the monster figures. And they were more than that. I think they started out at like $25 plus or $24.99 maybe. I can't remember. All I know is I bought King Sphinx and Pumpkin Wrapper from Target, and I remember just slapping down like over $50, and I was like, this is not something that I want to be doing. I felt bad about the whole situation. I just didn't want to spend that kind of money on toys. You start to question, like, what other things can you use that money for at that price? It's not one of those like, oh, here's $10, let me get a figure. $50, that's a lot. And then I brought them home, and I remember just I felt bad about it. Like, it's just not where I wanted to be. And then I learned from my mistakes after that, because it started to hurt after I would see King Sphinx and Pumpkin Wrapper on like deep discounts on Amazon, and they would end up at Ollie's, and I'm just like, oh gosh, people are picking them up for like under $20 or like $15, $10, whatever it was. Did not leave a good taste in my mouth at that point. I understand that they had some great sculpts on the monsters and all that, and wow, they look great, and they're all like modernized, but am I alone in saying that I didn't really like them that way? I mean, they just didn't look like the monsters from the show. They looked like reinterpreted monsters. They looked like they came out off of a comic book, and maybe they were in the comic books. I don't know. I haven't read any of the Power Ranger comic books, but they look too clean for me. I love a good like clunky guy in a suit monster costume type deal. I love that whole aesthetic. I think that's part of why I was drawn into Power Rangers, just because of that look. So these like reinterpreted sculpts, modernized versions, wasn't too big of a fan. I mean, how did Bandai nail Piranha's head, 30 some years ago, and Hasbro has this? It's crazy. He looks nothing like Piranha's head. Yeah, I was not a fan, but the fact that how many years later and you could walk into a store and buy these monster characters, and there was something to that. I did like that aspect of it, but I wasn't like sold on the overall product. But I'm a collector, and I still had to have them, so they are on the shelf. And then the line continued. More figures got released, and I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. Like, cool, I'm definitely picking up all the monster figures. But then the price started to go up more. You'd get closer to it ended near like closer to $30 for each figure. The whole Pudgy Pig thing where they put him in a lunchbox and it was like a Hasbro Pulse exclusive for like, what was it, like 60, 65, $70 or something like that. Get out of here, dude. That's not happening. And I'm so glad I didn't jump on that, just because that I ended up finding that lunchbox at a Ross for under $10. So I was good. That was just crazy. It played a lot of tricks on my mind, because it's like you kind of want the stuff, but it's like you there's no way I'm spending that much money. It's like you got a mortgage, you got a family. You can't be spending that much money on toys for something that's just going to sit there. So another point, which kind of goes hand in hand with how expensive they were, these were coming out way too fast. Too many waves were coming out. It was too quick. Like, I don't know how the people that were completely devoted fans that were just like, oh yeah, pre-ordering every wave, every figure that's coming out, I'm getting. Like that, man, I don't know how. Is the job you're at, is your company hiring? How are people affording that? That was crazy. That I was not willing to go down any kind of rabbit hole there for Ranger figures. I mean, I picked up the only Ranger figure I picked up was the Fighting Spirit Tommy, and that was mainly because that the putty came with it. I just wanted the putty, which is, I'm sure I'm probably one of the only people to buy that pack for that figure. I'm sure everybody else bought it for the Tommy figure, but I wanted the putty. And I remember buying that and feeling very badly because it was like $40. The double packs were like $40. Oh man, I felt so bad buying that stuff. Because I remember when the SPD 2-pack came out, and I was looking at that. I'm like, here we go. Am I going to get the A Squad Blue Ranger? Am I going to have to buy, all the packs, all the double packs? Is Hasbro going to get me this way so I can get all the baddies? I just said, nope, hard stop on that. That's not happening. Because, again, just to reiterate, they were coming out too fast. Too many waves, too expensive. So it was very easy for me to not buy the Ranger stuff, just because I was like, it can't happen. I don't have that kind of disposable income that I'm willing to part with. There were a lot of characters that were just peg warmers, from what I understand. I can't remember. I think you can still find yellow In Space Ranger, yellow Zeo Ranger. I think you could still find them. I'm pretty sure I look at the same one every time I go to Walgreens. I still see one here in 2025. So there's a whole bunch of them peg warming. So I think distribution was a huge problem. And Power Rangers as a whole just wasn't in demand with the casual consumers. And younger kids, I understand that these were like 4 plus, age range 4 plus, but the price point, you go back to that, it's like that's a hard sell for mom and dad, to be casually picking this up for a kid and then them taking it home and beating it up, whatever. It's a hard sell. So yeah, they came out too fast, and then I think this kind of goes hand in hand with that in some ways, but the quality control issues, they were crazy. If you go on to any kind of fan board and read up on people picking these guys up and just complaining about all the messed up paint apps and missing accessories, broken joints, what have you, a lot of chaos ensued there, and it especially really picked up once Hasbro had that whole initiative to just put their figures in cardboard boxes and cut out the plastic on all the packaging, because then people were buying blind. I remember people getting like returns or buying like Amazon returns, and they'd have like the complete wrong figure in there because somebody swapped them out or something. Absolute mess. And I'm glad I wasn't really a part of it. So yeah, price, they were coming out way too fast, flooding the market, and all kinds of quality control issues. That was more than enough reason for me to not go all in on this collection. So all that being said, all the positives and all the negatives, I was not sold on this line. I wasn't mad at this line. It's just not for me. I'm not that kind of collector. My collection is mostly vintage. I love collecting toys, not like modern collector pieces. I love collecting things that were intended to be played with and they have survived. Now, if you like the Lightning collection, more power to you. If this is what you were looking for, and I understand that there are a ton of hardcore fans that were looking for this, I get it. It just wasn't for me. This new Playmates line that's coming out, this is something that I've been looking for. I'm excited to collect these toys for my kids. I can't wait to be buying these toys together because before I wasn't buying these because my kids were too little, but now that one of my boys is 4 years old, he's really into Power Rangers. It's going to be cool to go to the store and pick up these Reignition figures because I don't think they look half bad. They're meant to be played with, but also I can kind of collect them on the side, and then he can have his and beat them up because they're toys. So I am super excited for that. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for something that I'm going to spend $30 on that I can take home, put it on the shelf, and then go, okay, well, what's the next thing that's coming out? If that's what you like, there is nothing wrong with that at all. The Lightning collection wasn't for me, and I think the Reignition collection is 100% for me and my kids. I have to imagine they're going to be priced better than the Lightning collection. That remains to be seen, who knows, but I would imagine they're going to be priced better. And I'm just looking forward to buying toys again. I put the cart before the horse. I'm calling the shot here. I'm calling my shot. I really think that this line is going to be better for me than the Lightning collection was. This is going to serve me, my collecting habits, and my family better than the Lightning collection was going to. And just to be fair, I wish the Lightning collection could continue on, and then we would still have this Playmates line. I want everybody to have what they want here. I don't want anybody to be saddled with something that they don't want. But hopefully this line is successful and lives on longer than the Lightning collection did. I don't think it's too promising, just considering that they're putting reruns on YouTube just to support this line. Not sure that was the way to go, but at least it's something. Hopefully this line is supported, and maybe once these figures come out, we can come back, revisit this video, see what I said, and, if they're horrible, then, I can get made fun of, whatever. But I'm calling my shot here. I'm thinking it's going to be much better than the Lightning collection, in my opinion. If you stay for the whole thing, I really appreciate it. Please check out the Toy Talk Guys podcast. Just search Toy Talk Guys in your podcast app of choice, or click on one of our links in the video description below. This is Motel, and I will see you in the next one.